Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Thank you very much for being here for our second session in Beyond Boundaries. And it's my great pleasure to welcome it's Todd, right? Todd. Whoops. Just for 1 second, I'm like, I know it's a T. I know it's less. That is pretty close, isn't it? Yeah. They're from the organization called Braver Angels. And the only thing I'm going to say, I'm going to let him all speak, is that you know it to be the truth that a political strategy from all sides of political life is to divide people. If I can get them divided, then I can get them into groups and hope that my group is bigger than your group. And as disciples of Jesus, I would say that we have a responsibility to not let people do that to us.
Amen.
Thank you.
It's incredible. Yes. So that's exactly what Braver Angels is trying to address. So my name is Todd Lester. I am the independent co-chair of Braver Angels Western North Carolina. We have a blue chair and a red chair, and I'm one of those people that can't make up my mind. So I'm an other big thing on here. So who here who likes going into a room without knowing anyone and start to have a political conversation? Who here finds that easy? Raise your hand. Easy to do. Easy to do. Yeah, I'm just that conversation. No one. Who here finds it challenging? Okay. Who would like to tell me why is that? Anyone?
Because I don't want to offend anyone and I don't want to be offended.
Don't want to offend anyone or be offended. That there might be a chance that happens. Anyone else? Why it's so difficult to just start that way with the stranger to have a political conversation? Anyone want to share why they think why is that so uncomfortable? Oh, I guess now you've changed your mind. It's actually here. All right. Yes.
Worrisome to you.
Yes, it could spark a reaction. So what we like to say is that unless there's some level of trust that has already been established, it makes it very difficult. So Braver Angels, at our heart, we're a trust building organization. Our approach is to build trust and then make a difference to bridge our partisan divide. So this workshop, when it's a little bit longer, it's not a workshop, it's a presentation, but it starts off usually with an exercise where I ask you, pick a topic like, let's say, football, NFL football, and find the things you have in common. Now, it doesn't really matter what, if you're a football fan or not, eventually you could probably find something in common. Maybe like, oh, I like the commercials at the Super Bowl. That could be it. So, but the point is that some things are eventually with the right procedure of engagement, and we'll go over the rules of engagement with the proper protocols, you can find areas of agreement. There's going to be a lot of things you disagree on, and that's really to be celebrated as well. Without the diversity of thought and opinion, our democratic process does not work. So this is a presentation called Crossing the Continental Divide, and what we're going to do in this program, it's going to be about 45 minutes. Today's agenda, we're going to start off with an experiential activity. This is something that's done in one of our workshops that teach people how to bridge the partisan divide. Then we're going to talk about our methods and some of our principles, and then we're going to talk about if we make a difference or not. So we have some, I think they're good studies that show that we are making a difference, and then we can talk about how you all can get involved. So really, the first thing we're going to start off with is an activity from our Depolarizing Within workshop. So you're gonna see two pieces of paper on, right in front of you there. One, it says, you turn that over. And there's gonna be two sheets. The one that, yeah, is a single-sided, is a 6-question poll. And everyone should have one, and you'll see it's called Assessing Your Inner Polarization. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take about 5 minutes to go through, I'll let you do this silently, but you're gonna go through these questions and answer them honestly. The whole purpose of this is to kind of know yourself, be honest, there's no right or wrong answers. You are not gonna be sharing your actual answers with anyone. So if you find out that you are completely polarizing, it's okay. This is what we're here for. So use this opportunity to be as honest as you can. And as you said, I think there's 6 questions there. And I'll give you, like I said, 5 minutes to go through these, and then we're gonna have a chance to share them with a partner. So everyone understand the instructions? Anyone need a little bit more guidance? Okay, and there's pens on the table if you want to circle your answers there. So I'll give you about 5 minutes, so take your time with it.
Could you give me an idea of what the questions are? I'm the online person.
I agree. I'm online also.
I don't think they can hear us, Sandra.
I know, Beth, I've asked and asked for them to remember to turn on their audio.
Yeah,
I'm gonna email Scott and see, is he in the room?
I thought I saw him leave the room. Maybe
Yeah.
if we put it in could you put it in the chat maybe?
They don't look at
They don't look at it.
Yeah, we're a work in progress.
Yeah. Well, at least it's good to talk to you this morning.
Well, that's the truth. Well, I guess you and I can determine our own inner polarizers.
I guess we can. Do you suppose we're supposed to be thinking about it on a political spectrum or
I
just
would hope so.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess I will journal about that.
How are you, by the way?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. It's been kind of a rough spring. How about you?
Oh, I heard, I haven't wanted to pry, but
Yeah.
I was
Okay, give me 1 more
curious.
minute.
Let's see what they're doing now.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so this exercise, it's from a workshop, a bigger workshop called Depolarizing Within. And the idea is that before you can engage with other people with different views, we need to check our own biases and see how we're contributing to polarization and division. So without that, conversations with people that have different viewpoints is going to be more difficult. And also people with similar viewpoints but are more polarized in their approach is going to be an issue. So this is an exercise that really says, hey, we need to know ourselves first before we can engage. So what I'd like you to do now is, you got your answers. Like I said, you do not have to share those answers, but I want you to pair up with someone at your table. If you do 2s, that's great. If you have to be with 3, that's fine too, if there's an odd number. But I want you to turn to your partner, and I would like you to just talk about what it was like to just do this exercise. So it's going to take some humility to do that, and then we'll like to hear what that was like. So really the idea here is not to share what your exact answers were. If you like, you can, but you don't need to. And if this exercise was just too much, or you feel like, hey, I don't want to share anything, that's fine too. You can just say, I'd rather not. You'll see what comes up with it. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. If you don't know the person next to you, just say your name and then just talk about what it was like to do this exercise. And if you could see any benefits of doing an exercise like this. So I'll give you now 5 minutes.
So Sandra, tell me a little bit about what this is like for you.
But yeah, I had no idea. Big bang.
Beth, did you say something? I stepped away from
Not
it.
Yeah, I
Oh my
wanted to,
God.
I wanted to ask you what this is like for you with the polarization.
I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, so I don't know what the questions were.
Oh, the questions were basically what was the process like?
Yeah, like.
You know, now they're talking is garbling with yours, so I can't understand you.
I know. I think we'll just have to listen to
Anyway,
the garble.
You and I can email each other.
Exactly.
Inside it, yeah. Yeah, everything. Yeah, every. Well, I'm just feeling myself. Yeah. Anybody that almost, especially entertaining. You think my ab's not. Yeah. So. Something spins. That's what I haven't ever since. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
One more minute, 1 more minute.
Very. Together, period. Now, short of celebrating for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Like everyone had things to share with their partner. Seems like this exercise gave you something to talk about. You saw the problem, huh? My work is done. So I'd like to be brave and share what it was like to do this exercise. Anyone? Yes. Mhm.
That's how he wants them and her. And that's just totally flipped.
Mm.
Trying to, not where I am, because I know where I am. I am where I am.
You'd like to get to, yes, and that is a great point that, this is a process of, I think the more, if we're honest, we're probably not where we want to be, and it takes work, so that's great. Who else has something to share about how it was like to do this, or what you could see a benefit of doing an exercise like this is? It was like, yes. Yes, your gut with your mind. Can you say more about that?
Are in a relationship, and that's making sense. But I know what I want to do. I know what I have to do. I know what I don't do a double bit, but
Sort of the, what you say, our gut with our mind, maybe that reptilian brain that like reacts. And our some kind of higher self that knows
yeah,
that there might be a more strategic way to engage in a way that could. That's great.
and frustration that I don't know what that strategic way is.
Well, that's where Braver Angels. And I just got, I'll make one point here. What we're doing today is just sharing some knowledge. This is a little bit of an experience from a Braver Angels workshop, but this presentation will not give you those tools. We have many other workshops that provide the tools of how to engage in a way that's productive. So this is really just knowledge. That's the first thing. Anyone else want to share a thought about what it was like to do this exercise? That's more people. Okay, that's great. Actually, everyone, you nailed it right there. All right, so we are now going to talk about, and you can take that home with you. You can, quiz your friends and family where you are. Get you clean copies of that too. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is the crisis of polarizations. And when we talk about polarization, we know the word is meaning at opposite ends of any kind of spectrum. When we talk about the crisis of polarization, we're not talking about differences of opinion that people have. What we're talking about is when disagreements become toxic. And when they become toxic, then there is a degradation of trust, it affects our relationships. And we're talking about the kind of polarization where we're not seeing people as individuals with complicated stories, but we're seeing them as abstractions or stereotypes, and we demonize or ascribe like the worst intentions. So that exercise gets into that. And what we really want to do is we want to be able to engage in a way that can let us see past those abstractions or let's say the worst representations that we might have seen either through media, siloed media. We tend to keep in our own sort of bubbles, and they can get reinforced. They could also get reinforced when our friends that, let's say, do see things the same way have also fallen into more of a polarized way of thinking. Can anyone think of someone close to them where you pretty much see things, you're on the same team, but you're like, ooh, that person's not helping? Does anyone have someone in their life like that? You don't have to disclose who that person is, but I see a couple of you smile. So maybe you have someone like that in your life. I heard, maybe it's you. All right, so there is a personal cost of polarization. Now, some people think, well, I'm just not going to even pay attention. And I know a bunch of people that have just checked out. Your friends moved to Canada. And It's great, it moved to a great place, but I want to say, you know, you got some polarization up there too, if you've been watching news. Anyway, there is a personal cost. So just to tell you, some stats on what this polarization has done to us. We've got some pretty disturbing thing. All right, so this comes from a news organization, a study done by Calmo and Mason. These are from, I think, 2021, so they're a little bit old, but I think they're relevant. You can maybe add 5 points on all of these percentages too. 66% of partisans see the opposing party as a serious threat to the United States and its people. Okay. Here's another one. This is from CBS. 57% of Republicans and 41% of Democrats now think of the other party as enemies rather than the political opposition. You're a Democrat right now and you think that, oh, you're better. I have another stat for you right now. This one is from the lethal mass partisanship study. 15% of Republicans and 20% of Democrats say the country would be better off if large numbers of the opposing partisans just died. Wow, right? Is that amazing? So, anyway, however, there is some good news, believe it or not. What is that? What is that good news? All right, studies show that we actually have more in common than we think. And when I talked about that NFL exercise where like, that we sometimes do at the beginning, where you can find it. There's something that you could find that you have in common, but it makes it very difficult. Here's another stat. 86% of Americans say that we feel so exhausted by this division that we're completely fed up. 86%. Does anyone think, does that sound reasonable with the people in your circle?
Yes.
Okay, 86% are just exhausted. Now you might say, like, what's so great about people are exhausted about it? Well, we're tired, but it also means that people are motivated to do something if they knew what to do. So, and really, it's because what we're trapped in is like this vicious circle. If we think of the other party as hating us, we are not going to then trust them. And it's this like cycle of distrust that builds up, apathy, exhaustion. So, but we have tools. So another nice stat is 79% say, given the opportunity, people would play a part in reducing social division in America. So has anyone heard of the Hidden Tribes study by a group called Common Ground? Hidden Tribes, it shows one of their findings, and you can find this online, it's really great. And it shows that about 8%, let's say, of the extremes, maybe 8 to 10% of both extremes of our sort of our red-blue divide is really driving the polarization. So they have an outsized loud voice. Another thing I want to say about Braver Angels, just like I'm an independent in another, we frame the polarization as red-blue, but our political landscape is much more complicated than that. But that's, when we talk about red-blue, that's kind of where we're talking about this polarized drive. So, all right, so how did this come about? All right, so the first red-blue workshop, this happened in the outgrowth of the Hillary-Trump won election. Things weren't great after that election, and some people got together and said, hey, I wonder if you actually got these voters together in a room, what could happen? You get them to talk to each other. So that's the genesis. It happened in Lebanon, Ohio. One of our founders, which you'll see in a little video I'm going to show, he started it with another gentleman, and their findings were that if you actually get people in the room together, you could actually find out we have more in common than we think. So Braver Angels, the main goal with our work is not to change people's minds about issues. It's to change people's minds about how we feel about each other. And it is very hard to do. It's very hard to do, but it can be done. All right, so let's, we're gonna show a video, and our technology is such that we're gonna do a little hack here, because we're not getting it to work, on the TV, so I'm gonna play the video, and it's not gonna probably sync up to the sound the way we'd like it to, but you're gonna see Wolf Blitzer up here. And from CBS, well, that's not Wolf Blitzer, that's, you'll see who it is. Hang on, you'll see who it is. All right, so I'm gonna play the video, see if we can play it, and let's see if I can start at the same time here.
So, what's the answer? How about putting old and young, rich and poor, conservatives and liberals in the same room and just have them talk it out? Which is to say, try something, anything. Here's Martha Teichner.
Angry Trump supporters demanded entry to a ballot processing center in Detroit today.
Michigan is a battleground state in every sense of the word. Here, purple doesn't mean moderate. It means the 50-50 red-blue split is a chasm.
Not a concern for our country and our democracy.
That concern is why these people gathered on a recent Saturday in Traverse City, Michigan. Half of them red, the other half blue, brought together by Braver Angels, a not-for-profit attempting to narrow the divide.
And I'm here just to help people understand the point of view of those in the red column.
I'm concerned that the polarization has become paralysis.
Started in 2016, Braver Angels now hold sessions nationwide.
I'm going to start out with some expectations to abandon.
It was shaped by Bill Doherty, who teaches relationships at the University of Minnesota. He's also a marriage counselor. Is it a proper analogy of reds and blues in America and couples on the brink of divorce?
There is an analogy to couples on the brink. A big difference is that divorce is not possible in America.
In Traverse City, participants arrived uneasy at first, defensive.
It was difficult to get in the car and drive there, but I knew I had to do it.
To get over her fear of the other side. After what happened in January 2021, when Kelly McIntosh addressed a virtual county commission meeting, asking commissioners to denounce the Proud Boys after the violence of January 6th. This was the response. Then came the threatening phone calls.
Anybody who knows me knows that I need to be here.
Task number 1 at a red-blue workshop?
We're all Marxists or communists, anti-Second Amendment, baby killers.
It sounds counterintuitive. List what they call you. The stereotypes. Reds and blues in separate rooms.
Horribles. Misogynists and the conspiracy theorists.
Facilitators then ask each side if there's a kernel of truth in those stereotypes.
Passion for pro-life cause sometimes seems to not hear women.
And so it goes for 3 hours, peeling back the onion of opinion, looking for common ground, no trying to change anybody's mind.
Part of it was kind of gut-wrenching to sit in those stereotypes and then to hear what the other side, how they felt like we saw them.
Divided they were, but these people showed up because they wanted to know each other, not by label, but by name. Brent Swenson and Kelly McIntosh.
She's a neat lady. I like her.
Did you think you would click with someone of the blue persuasion so readily?
I would say that I went into it hopeful with that, but I didn't expect to find a friend.
I was shocked at the comfort, the camaraderie, because some of the things that we talked about were not real comfortable political things to talk about.
Here's the but. While Braver Angels has held more than 2,000 workshops and is growing, so is the divide.
So there's a big gap right here where
As for closing it, The brave proposition here is that at least trying is something.
3, 2, 1.
Remember what our founder Bill Doherty's profession was. Any reactions to that you want to share? Anyone? Yeah.
Actually just reminds me a little bit of what happened with the children of Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland when we, the US, had them come over and spend summers together. And that was for basically the same result.
Similar type of thing. Actually get together.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yes.
Well, there cannot be any marriage lasting more than a weekend without give and take and an understanding of each other's story. Go to the story.
Go to the story part. Yeah, I like that. Yep.
Not what you say, but how you say it, voice. And so often, all of those kinds of conversations get into a heated argument. So it's no way to solve it. You just have to have cool.
That helps. And it's hard. Yeah.
Get in the conflict.
Take the bait.
Yeah, I think the stereotype listing, because when we're talking about what makes it hard, it's like when you come into one of these conversations, you're gonna have all the baggage of what other people on your side have done to somebody, how they've offended people, and it's a complicated dance of like, how do I say what I believe but not offend the people who've done bad? And it gets really complicated because the stereotypes have truth in them, and people probably have hurt the person you're talking to in ways that you don't have any context for.
Yeah, and there are a lot of bad actors out there.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
I was actually going to talk about the stereotype equity too. I'm like really curious and eager to do that when a next workshop comes up, because I think the fact that they're listing the stereotypes of their own party and then they're being asked to sort of dissect them and find, like, again, the story or the truth behind them it's going back to the self. It's going back to
So
sort of your
what's the
side of
answer?
right?
How
And I
about
think
putting
these conversations
old and
are
young,
so
rich
challenging
and poor,
because,
conservatives and
it
liberals
is a
in the
hard
same
thing to
room?
self-reflect and to look at our own accountability in whatever argument. Especially when you have the comfort of, like, you know, like the silos of thinking and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted to say I also love that activity, power in that.
Thank you. All right, so we get to the next slide, but I can work without it. So what is our approach? How do we do this? So the Braver Angels approach is summarized in your second handout, which is called the Rules of Engagement. So there's two things. The one side is the rules of engagement. These are sort of the principles that undergird all of our workshops. As you can see, I'm not going to read all of them out, but there's a couple that are just notable in the headings of each sort of subsection there. As individuals, we try to understand the other's point of view, even if we don't agree with it. In our communities, we engage with those we disagree with, looking for common ground and ways to work together. In politics, we support principles that bring us together rather than divide us. And that it's not easy. These are the principles that are under all of our work that we do. On the other side, you'll see is a list of all the different types of workshops we do. We do workshops that are as short as an hour and a half, and some that go all day long. Right now, there's a series of workshops that are going on around the country around immigration. A couple of years ago at the convention that was in Gettysburg, I went to it. The delegation decided to do a series of common ground workshops. They were similar to what you saw up there. You get reds and blues that want to spend all day, get past these stereotypes, build some trust, And then you get into the issues. So a couple years ago, they took on election integrity. That was something that came out. It was a big deal, if you remember, like, what, 2 decades ago, it seems, that there was some election integrity issues. So there was a series of workshops, 26 workshops around the country. And when you got people together, Reds and Blues, they came up with 27 actionable points of agreement that is written up. I have a handout back that shows what you can actually do. What we're doing is we're trying to do the work that Congress is not doing so well, or at least show them that it can be done. And we've brought our work to Washington too. Our founder has given workshops on Capitol Hill. I'm sure it's like in the basement somewhere. It's not, you know, more of the Senate, but also we have representatives in Raleigh that are receptive to our message too. You wouldn't be surprised. Caleb Rudow is one of them. He's been to our workshops, and he is actually, I forget the red representative, but he's jumped out of a plane with a red representative to show unity. I don't know if you knew that one. They both survived. And, so yeah, these are our big commitments. Any questions right now? I'm going to also click through some other slides. But any questions about anything right now that I yes.
Breakfast yesterday, and our state senator here, gave Braver Angels a plug.
Oh, who was that?
I think we were gonna have
See,
senator.
that's or Julie, yeah. Oh, that's great. Excellent. Yes, I've sent invites to everyone. And, yeah, we've had members of, members of all parties. I'll just say that. Yeah. Yeah.
What about people who are sort of in the purple zone?
Yeah.
How, you would sit in the middle, like, what do you do in these sort of things?
Yeah, I think the skills apply to everyone, no matter where you are, on the spectrum. And these are, we call these things like lap skills, listening, acknowledging, something called pivoting. There's a formula to having more productive conversations, which applies to anyone, no matter where you are. And some of our workshops, like I said, our Depolarizing Within workshop, it applies, those skills relate to how you can relate to people that are in your camp, no matter where it is. Even as an independent, like I have my biases for sure. I hate everyone. But yeah, and we really, there's something for everything. So there are some workshops that we do look to get real partisans. And no one is told to give up their party affiliation. And this is the thing that our country so far, my opinion, is that our strength is in our diversity. You know, people pushing forward, people, let's say, respect for tradition. I mean, it's this constant interplay. One of the greatest stories that I have to mention is that at our convention last year, does anyone know who Jonathan Rauch is, that name? Yeah. Okay. So back in the, when there was the gay marriage debate, this is, I guess, in the 90s or so, right? Do I have my dates right? He was one of the leaders of that cause. And I believe someone from Focus on the Family, his name is escaping me, but more of a conservative, and Glenn something. And they got together, and at our convention, they told the story. The two of them told the story of how they went to each other's halls and spoke in front of each other's people with this idea of, you need to get to know me, and really, really powerful. These are, you know, some of the stories we don't hear about typically. So as far as our findings go, participants report feeling more comfortable with the other party, changing perceptions of each other, not their views on political issues, and also learning useful information and finding the events are well run. We'll take that. That's good. In short, what we do is we do reduce polarization. This chart here, this is something that we present in our workshops too. You can see it's kind of like our wheel of polarization, where on one side, all the way to the left, we have the emotions are in red, and this corresponds to that to your survey that you did, where when we're super polarized, you hear hatred, you hear disdain, you hear pity. Then we're moving more into, let's say, some more tolerant emotions, basic respect, and then all the way to the right would be respect and appreciation. This wheel is kind of neat because you'll hear things like they are enemies. That translates to hatred. And then the ideas are, oh, they just want to harm our country. So really our idea is with these workshops is to get people more over to the right side where we can say something like, hey, people have important perspectives, even if I agree only with part of it, or maybe, hey, they have a lot to contribute. So this takes time to do for sure. And even they've done studies that even sitting through a presentation like this, even doing an exercise like this, you have just reduced polarization, like it or not. Sorry, I did it to you. Because just little conversations, I mean, if this, you never know how like even reacting to just one person or listening in some kind of way might change someone else's mind. The way I look at this is, I mean, I'm a little bit selfish, so I look at this as a tool for self-growth. So that's where I'm coming from. So anyway, we want to offer to say, hey, join our efforts in some way. We have programs that are tailored to faith-based communities, sort of an opening. We kind of wrap it with a faith flavor. You can join our efforts, become a member, a whopping $12 a year, become a member. And you can also get involved. I'll tell you how to do that. So there's a lot of different ways. We have a lot of different programs. There's 15,000 volunteers around the country that are involved in this. We also have only 6 chapters in, or alliances we call them. There's 6 in North Carolina. There's about 110 around the country. We have Braver networks, which are networks of faith-based groups, civic groups, media groups. There's a group called All Sides Media, if anyone's ever heard of that. They give media stories from different perspectives. Angle News is another one. Braver Politics, like I said, we're working with politicians. We have programs on campus. You could do e-courses, online debates. Right now, there's a series of online debates going on called Trump's 100 First Days, Getting Red and Blues. There's one on May 1st that is open. So all of this, if you sign up for our newsletter, and I'll show you how to do that. This is if you want to, if you know right now you want to join, but I'm going to pass this one right now and get you something. I know we're getting short on time. So this one right here, if you want to get our newsletter, and you could also get some helpful tips on how to have better conversations, you could scan that code right there. Let me just go back one thing. On the 26th of April, we're doing a Immigration 101. I gave you a little flyer on the table. Just grab one of those. It's on there. There's a QR code. You can sign up. Well, it's going to be really neat. It's a film that's a person from a red think tank and a blue think tank put together in this effort to actually present where are we starting from of what we can agree on. And we get to some factual clarity. We have different prescriptions of how to deal with things, but can we at least agree on some things? It's going to be really neat. It's going to show you sort of more of this Braver Angels thought in action. So, like I said, there it is right there if you want to get on our newsletter. Also, if you want to do any kind of workshop at a church here, we can come in and give you more than just 40 minutes of me babbling. So with that, I'll take some questions because I know you have to get out of here soon. Yes, it's this effort. And it's not, it's going to be a presentation of a film and a discussion, but it's these two people, one from a red think tank. Yeah. And then one from a blue. And it's they're going to present what they've agreed of what our whole landscape of immigration is.
Okay, but how is the factual clarity?
No.
It is, the substance is, these are the things we are care about, then you need to follow.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's my number one concern, is the separate realities people are living in. We're not talking about the same thing.
Yes, so that, yeah, and then what we could do is, if there's interest, to get people together to actually talk about policy. That's gonna be a separate thing. Thank you so much. Any questions? I know I threw a lot at you in a very disjointed technological way. But if you have any questions, you can contact us, pick up that little flyer, you can scan that code. There's a little bit of information on the back if you have some time. I know you have to leave. Any last questions before you depart onto some spiritual uplift? Great, thank you very much.